Hi, I'm Kayla from La Terraza, and I'm here today to show you how you can paint your holiday handprint platter. There are three different designs that I can show you how to make, and there's three separate videos for each one. So if this isn't the video for the design you want, then click onto one of the other ones. So with your kit, you're going to get your glazed paints, which look much more pale than these finished fired pieces. So keep in mind they will change to look like what you see right here, but in the beginning they're gonna be pale. So you'll get your glazed paints, you're gonna get a fine detail brush, and you're gonna get a piece of a sponge that you will need to do your handprints and things like that. So there's three different designs you can pick from. And again, with the kit, you can make any of the designs. There's just three different videos to show you how to make each one. First is our Cold Hands Warm Heart Plate that has a little handprint that looks like a fire in a fireplace, which I think is super cute. And then the other designs we just have on these tiles, but you can obviously do them on the big plate. One is this little Christmas tree that you can make with either handprints or baby footprints. It's really cute, and it has like presents and ornaments and things like that. Or this one that says joy and has some rainbow string lights. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make one of these designs. And again, if it's not the one you want, then click on to a different one. And if you follow along, you can make the same design, and then you have to bring it back to get fired, and it'll be shiny and glossy like these finished ones. All right, so the first thing you want to do with your plate is check to see if it looks dusty. And if it does, just get a sponge with a little bit of water on it, not a lot, you can squeeze some out, and just wipe your plate off to make sure there's no loose dust. This is really important to do if there is dust on it, because sometimes the dust can mess up your paint a little bit. So just make sure you do that. So for our Merry Christmas tree plate, what we're gonna do first is we wanna do our tree in the middle. Now excuse my plate, I know it's a little bit dirty. It's an old one that I'm using for this video, so ignore all this random stuff you see on it. That won't be on your plate. But what I'm gonna do, because I am an adult and I have adult sized hands, I'm gonna do my two hands kind of like this to make a triangle for the tree, obviously doing one at a time. Something that also looks really nice if you have a baby or someone really young is to do baby feet. It looks kind of like this, and that's another cute way to do it too. But what we're going to do is we're going to use our sponge, and we are going to sponge our whole hand. Now the key here is to make sure that you're not taking so long that the paint is drying out. So if you're doing this on a child's hand, it's going to be a lot faster. But on mine, and if you're doing someone with a bigger hand, just see how I'm kind of spreading it out over the whole thing. I'm making sure the whole hand gets covered. Really make sure you get like in the folds of your fingers. And just kind of go quickly getting it sponged on there. Alright, so I have my whole hand sponged here and I'm ready to go. So remember, I kind of want to do it like this. So I kind of have both hands ready, and now I know this one can go just there. And I'm gonna place it down and then don't move it. So when I do this with a kid, I tell them usually, think of it like there's glue on your hand and you cannot move it. And while their hand is still, you wanna press down and kind of rock the fingers back and forth. Really press down the palm. Otherwise you're gonna have a big hole in the middle. And then press on those fingers. Press down on the knuckles, because there's going to be an empty spot there too if you don't press that down. And then lift up, and you got one handprint. Now sometimes people are tempted to fill the whole thing in. I wouldn't, because this texture is really cool. When it fires, you're going to see a lot of the lines that are in the hand, which I think makes it really special. Of course, if you want to fill it in so it's solid, that's a choice that you can do, but I always say just leave it. The texture is what makes it special. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other hand. Alright, and then I'm just going to see where I want it to go first, and then press down, and do the same thing. Press down that palm, press down the knuckles, kind of rock the fingers back and forth, and just make sure that whoever's doing their hand is being real careful not to slide it around. Perfect. Ooh, that one turned out way nicer. Sometimes that happens. And that's okay. Again, it just kind of makes them all unique. Now what I'm going to do is wash my hands, and then I'll show you the next step. Alright, so on your plate, if you want to do any sort of writing or any detail work, it's a good idea to draw it out in pencil first. Pencil burns away completely whether you cover it or not. So I'm going to write out Merry Christmas in pencil. Now you're probably doing this with a child and their hands are much smaller, so you can write it out nice and big above and below. Because I don't have that kind of space, I'm going to write it kind of up here on this top part. If I didn't like it, you can erase it, and it will be a big smudge. However, it will burn away, so it will look kind of bad, but you don't have to worry about it. And then I'm going to draw a little rectangle underneath for where I want the trunk to be. Well, the rectangle with the point, I guess. And then I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to do my black for my writing and my trunk, and I only need to do one coat. Alright, so I'm done with that part. Now I'm going to use my yellow. I washed my brush off first. And I'm going to use my yellow to make a big star at the top. It can overlap on the tree, or you can have it just sitting above. Again, if you need to draw it out with pencil first, go ahead. With the yellow, you may want to paint over it twice so that it shows up really nice and bright, because yellow will get kind of see-through sometimes because it's such a light color. There we go. And then we're going to do ornaments on the tree, and a really good way to do that is using the back of your paintbrush to dot the ornaments on there. You could use a fingerprint if the fingers are small enough, but with someone with bigger fingers like mine, it's kind of hard to do fingerprints and have them look round. So I'm going to dip my brush in the colors I want and just kind of dot it around until I have as many ornaments on my tree or lights as I want. Okay. And now all that's left is just decorating the border with whatever you want. I'm going to show you how to make some little presents using your thumbprint. But in another one of our videos, our Joy Christmas plate, I showed you how to make lights with a thumbprint, so that could be something you can add on this one. It's totally up to you. I'm going to take my sponge, and I'm going to get some red paint on the edge, and I'm going to just get my thumb covered here. And I'm just going to press down, and there's a nice thumbprint. I'm going to do maybe 3 on each side. Okay, so I got my little starts to my presents here. I'm just going to wash my hands a little bit with my sponge that I have extra. Now with black paint, I'm going to take my little brush and I'm going to do straight up and down and straight across line, or vertical, horizontal. And then I'm going to make a little bow by doing curved line, and then I like to do a little swirly like that. Alright, and I'm all finished with my handprint tree plate. I think it's really cute, and it's a lot of fun to kind of make your hands turn into something like the tree, or footprints again if you're doing like baby feet. But That's all the steps for this. Now, one thing that's important to remember is that these are glaze paints which have to get fired. So right now everything looks very pale and chalky and not at all like bright colors that it's gonna look like after firing. So just keep that in mind. This is not completely finished yet. It does need to get fired, but once it is fired, it's gonna look bright and shiny.